Good evening, all Dharma Masters and all Lotus Friends. Tonight we will pick up with part 2 of The Ultimate Aim of Life, Rebirth in the Pure Land by Master Jingkai. Just a short recap from where we left off last Saturday. We were reminded that Dharma knowledge is not intended to be accumulated like worldly knowledge, as it is a tool serving a purpose for our liberation. This was made clear when quoting Master Jingkai directly, saying, "No matter how knowledgeable you are, or how much joy you derive from learning the Dharma, the problem of life and death in Samsara remains unsolved." We learn that in choosing the correct Dharma path that will serve us most effectively in this feat, we are urged to consider our aptitudes and capabilities, lest we be convinced that we are destined to be liberated by self-power. Tonight, we will take this bridge over to the next part of the sharing. This is important to highlight because we will see how this concept is truly rooted in the compassionate, admonishing words of none other than Shakyamuni Buddha, specifically drawing from the example led for us by Lady Vaidehi when she comes to accept the deliverance of Amitabha Buddha. Without further ado, we will go ahead and continue hearing this teaching. Originally, Shakyamuni Buddha appeared to teach the Pure Land path of reciting Amitabha Buddha's name to be reborn in the land of bliss. Shakyamuni and Amitabha complement each other. When the time is not right, Amitabha remains hidden. But when beings are ready, Amitabha emerges, and Shakyamuni steps aside. It is like parenting. Sometimes the father is the stern one, and the mother the soft one. Other times, it is the other way around. It depends on the occasion. According to Master Shandao, Shakyamuni Buddha is the teacher who urges us to be reborn in the Pure Land. Sentient beings, however, prefer to rely on their self-power to practice in the Saha world to attain Buddhahood. Therefore, Shakyamuni Buddha manifested himself in our world to teach practices that involve self-power. He expounded various sutras for that purpose. So, how does one become a Buddha? Well, finally, he touched on Amitabha's Pure Land and guided us to be reborn there. Shakyamuni Buddha's role is to awaken our faith in Amitabha Buddha. The aim of his teaching is to gradually adjust the mindset of sentient beings. When the timing is not right, only Shakyamuni Buddha delivers his teaching on stage, and Amitabha Buddha will not make his appearance. However, when the timing is right, the opportunity will present itself. Suffering is the teacher of sentient beings. It is only when we go through a lot of pain and sufferings that we desire liberation. Who in the 3 Pure Land Sutras experienced great suffering and begged Shakyamuni Buddha to show the way for rebirth? It was Lady Vaidehi. Although she had previously listened to many of Shakyamuni Buddha's teachings, did she seek rebirth? No. She lived in affluence, and her interest in Buddhism might have been just a pastime or just a new hobby. However, when her son rebelled against her, and he tried to kill his own parents with a knife, death was right before her eyes. She finally thought of seeking rebirth. Thus, Shakyamuni Buddha smiled and emitted 5-color light from his mouth, helping Lady Vaidehi choose the land of ultimate bliss as the place for her rebirth. Yet, Vaidehi insisted on practicing meditative visualization and set for herself a criterion for rebirth. Many practitioners have similar problems. Amitabha accomplished the land of ultimate bliss for us. Instead of trying to understand what Amitabha's primal vow is about, these practitioners cling to their own power. They want to achieve an undistracted state of mind to experience the reality of the Dharma nature. They elevate their self-power even higher than the power of the Buddha's vows. What if we cannot meet the standard for the rest of our lives? Our lives will be over and we get stuck in the cycle of birth and death. This kind of approach is like climbing back from the edge of a cliff, using the knife of the Dharma to fight the tiger to eliminate the threat. This is the philosophy of the sage's path. The practitioners do not really seek rebirth, but only battle with death through self-power. According to Master Tao Chuo, both the sage's path and the Pure Land path are great Dharma paths. However, if the practitioner's capacity and the Dharma path he chooses are incompatible, and yet he holds on to that teaching stubbornly, it will become a burden. Such is the case with Vaidehi. Her insistence on relying on self-power was an obstacle to rebirth. Shakyamuni Buddha taught the sage's path, not only to let sentient beings understand how profound the Dharma is, but also used it as a mirror to reflect our ugly nature. He rebuked Vaidehi, saying, "You are an unenlightened, ordinary being, and so your spiritual powers are weak and obscured. Since you have not yet attained the divine eye, you cannot see far." Vaidehi wanted to practice meditation and contemplation, the two pillars of the sage path. However, Shakyamuni Buddha put her in her place. He said to her, "As an ordinary being, you are unable to practice meditation and contemplation. You simply do not have what it takes to do it." Step by step, Shakyamuni Buddha guided her to forsake self-power and seek rebirth through the power of Amitabha's vows. Vaidehi became more yielding and got closer and closer to Amitabha's primal vow. With that, Shakyamuni Buddha's mission was accomplished. It was then the time for Amitabha's appearance. Shakyamuni Buddha said to Vaidehi, "Listen carefully. I will explain to you the method of removing suffering." When these words were spoken, Amitabha Buddha appeared in the air above, radiating brilliant light. This Buddha uses light as a medium to teach the Dharma of immeasurable life, the Dharma of delivering sentient beings. Lady Vaidehi accepted it. She believed that she had no power and accepted the power of Amitabha. These are the two kinds of deep faith with reference to the aptitude of sentient beings and the deliverance of Amitabha Buddha. Vaidehi was no longer troubled as she had these two deep faiths. With her inferior aptitudes, Vaidehi really struggled when trying to practice the sage's path. However, when she decided to believe in the power of Amitabha Buddha, she attained non-retrogression. That will be where we stop with this beneficial teaching for tonight. And just a reminder, we will conclude with the third and final section of this sharing next week. Thank you for your active listening and participation. Namo Ami Tofo.